All right, so let's look at simplifying monomials. So I have negative 11, x to the fourth, y to the fifth times 2, x to the fifth, y squared. So what you do is you multiply the numbers. So it's negative 11 times 2, negative 22, and you add the exponents. So I've got x to the fourth, x to the fifth, 4 plus 5 is 9, y to the fifth, y to the second, 5 plus 2 is 7. So you multiply the numbers, the coefficients, and you add the exponents. Okay, that's how I multiply monomials. All right, now the next one, that's called the multiplication property of exponents. Now we're going to look at a different property here where we have to an exponent here. So on this one, I've got this is called power to a power, where I have the whole expression to a certain power. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to multiply each power by 3. So I'm going to multiply each exponent by 3. And so remember, 6 has an exponent. It's exponent of 1. So it'd be 6 to the third, x to the 5 times 3, x to the 15th, y to the 4 times 3, y to the 12th. Okay, so 6 to the third, that's 216. If you don't believe me, you can go to your calculator. So 6 to the third, 216. So it'd be 216, x to the 15th, y to the 12th. Okay, so you multiply each exponent by the exponent on the outside. All right, another rule that we learned here is that you're not allowed to have negative exponents. You can have negative numbers, but you can't have negative exponents, so that's a problem. That's a problem. How do you fix it when you have a negative exponent? Well, you put on the other side of the fraction bar. So I'm going to make a big fraction bar here. And so to fix this, I need to move this to the bottom, and I need to move this to the top. Negative 4 will still stay here, but to make this negative 5 a positive 5, I'm going to move it to the bottom. To make this negative 3 a positive 3, I'm going to move it to the top. So that takes care of that. There's no common terms, no way I can simplify, so that's my answer. Okay, let's go to H. 3 times x to the 0. X to the 0, anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. So anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. So 3 times 1 is 3. Okay. Now the next one, what you're going to do here is you divide the numbers, or you could simplify it like a fraction, or you could reduce the fraction, kind of think of it as a fraction, and then you subtract the exponents. Okay, so that's kind of, it's working off the kind of the opposite, a little bit the opposite of what we did when we multiplied. So 24 and 40, they have a common factor of 8. So 24 divided by 8 is 3, 40 divided by 8 is 5. Subtract the exponents. Now that has a power of 1. If there's no exponent there, it's implied to be 1. So what's 7 minus 1? X to the 6th. Y to the 6th, y to the 6th. That just cancels. Here I've got 7 to the 7th power minus 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. You could also ask yourself this. I've got 7 z's on top, 6 on bottom. So where do I have extra? I have 1 extra on top. I have 7 x's on top, 1 on bottom. So I have 6 extras on top. So that's another way to think about it. Probably a simpler way. Okay. Now in the last one here, we're going to, when you're multiplying monomials, you can cross simplify if you need to. So like, for example, 5 does not have a common factor of 12, but it does with 15. So I can simplify 5 over 15. They all have a common factor of 5, so I can divide by 5. 12 and 3, they have a common factor of 3, so divide by 3, divide by 3. And then x and x to the fifth, this is x to the fifth, to become x to the fourth, I'd have 4 extra x's on bottom. Here I have y to the fourth, y to the sixth, I have 2 extra y's on bottom. So I'm going to multiply across, 1 times 1 is 1. 4x y squared times 5x to the fourth, 4 times 5 is 20. And I'm going to put the letters in alphabetical order. So this is my answer.